Daf Yomi, Tractate of Metzia, page 115a, top of the page, with the words Lama, Chosrin, Umi Mashkanin, etc. Why does one go back and take the collateral again, as the creditor must anyway restore it to the debtor the following day? The Gemara replies, any loan that is secured by collateral is not cancelled by the sabbatical year, in contrast to other debts which are cancelled. Therefore, this ensures that the sabbatical year should not cancel it. And an additional reason is so that the collateral should not become movable property in the possession of his children, as one generally cannot claim such items from orphans to pay for their father's debt. The Gemara infers the reason these exceptions apply is that he goes back and takes it as collateral. But if he did not go back and take it as collateral, these exceptions do not apply. This Braita therefore contradicts the opinion of Rabbi Yochanan, who held that the initial seizing of collateral is sufficient to grant the creditor full rights to it. Rav Ada bar Matana said, and did you not resolve this Braita once already by adjusting its wording slightly? Answer it by changing its formulation again in this manner. And since one must return the collateral, why does one take collateral at the outset? It is done so that the sabbatical year should not cancel the debt, and so that it should not become movable property in the possession of his children. This version is in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Yochanan, as it teaches that one who has taken collateral, even on a single occasion, may confiscate it from the debtor's heirs. Tanu Rabbanan, the sages taught, Lo tavo el beso, la'avot avoto. The verse states, when you lend your neighbor any manner of loan, you shall not go into his house to take his collateral. Deuteronomy 24:10. This verse indicates that you may not enter his house, but you may enter the house of a guarantor to take the collateral from him. And similarly it states, take his garment that is surety for a stranger. Proverbs 20:16. And it further states with regard to the same issue, my son, if you are a guarantor for your neighbor, if you have struck your hands for a stranger, you are ensnared by the words of your mouth, you are caught by the words of your mouth. Do this now, my son, and deliver yourself when you have come into the hand of your friend. Go humble yourself and strengthen your friend. Proverbs 6:1-3. Im mamon yesh lo biyadecha, hater lo pisat yad, vim lav harbe alav ra'im. The passage in Proverbs, harbe alav ra'im. The passage in Proverbs is interpreted as follows. The phrase "you are snared by the words of your mouth" is referring to a guarantor who obligated himself to pay for one who upset his friend with his comments. In such a case, one should do the following. If he has money in your hand, go humble yourself, which is expounded as release him from the palm of your hand to give him his money. And if it is not money that you owe him, but rather you have become ensnared by the words of your mouth, and you owe him an apology for a personal slight, gather together many neighbors, harbe alav re'im, not ra'im, but re'im, many neighbors through which to seek his forgiveness. I wonder why re'im, like neighbors, is so close to ra'im, like bad. I don't know, maybe it's common to have bad neighbors now. Hopefully not. Alright, okay, let's see where we holding. Right, L'Sad Sheni, the verse, when you lend your neighbor any manner of loan, you shall not go into his house to take collateral. It can be interpreted in a different direction. L'Sad Sheni. In another manner, you may not enter his house to take collateral for the loan, but if he owes wages, you may enter and take collateral for the porter's wages, for a donkey's driver's wages, for an innkeeper's payment, or for the wages for one who made drawings for him. One might have thought that this applies even if the one owed the money establishes it as a loan for the one who owes the money after he was already liable for such payment. Therefore, the verse states, any manner of loan, Deuteronomy 24:10, which demonstrates that once the debt has been converted into a loan, it is like any other loan, and therefore one may not take collateral against the debtor's will. Mishnah Almana Benji Ani Benji Yashira Ein Mimashkinin Osa Shinemar Lotach Bol Beged Almana. With regard to a widow, whether she is poor, is a new Mishnah. With regard to a widow, whether she is poor or whether she is wealthy, one may not take collateral from her, as it is stated, and you may not take the garment of a widow as collateral. Deuteronomy 24:17. Sorry, went dyslexic there. Deuteronomy 24:17. Okay, the Gemara says Tanu Rabbanan. The rabbis learned, with regard to a widow, whether she is poor or whether she is wealthy, one may not take collateral from her. This is the statement of Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Shimon says, with regard to a wealthy widow, one may take collateral from her, but with regard to a poor widow, one may not take collateral from her, because you are obligated to return it to her, in accordance with the halacha, that the collateral of a poor person must be returned to him whenever he needs it. And since you will be entering every day to return the collateral to her, you will thereby give her a bad name among her neighbors. They will suspect her of developing an inappropriate relationship with you. By contrast, in the case of a wealthy widow, there is no obligation to return her collateral. It is permitted to take a collateral from her. The Gemara asks, is this so? Is this to say that Rabbi Yehuda does not interpret the rationale behind the mitzvah in the verse and draw halakhic conclusions based on that interpretation, and Rabbi Shimon does interpret the rationale behind the mitzvah in the verse? But haven't we heard them holding the reverse opinions elsewhere? As it is taught in the Mishnah, Sanhedrin 21a, concerning the mitzvot of king, and he should not multiply wives for himself, that his heart not turn away. Deuteronomy 17:17. Rabbi Yehuda says he may accumulate many wives for himself, provided that they are not like those who turn his heart from reverence of God. Rabbi Shimon says, even one who turns his heart away, even if one turns his heart away, he should not marry her. If so, why is it stated he shall not multiply wives for himself? This teaches that even with regard to wives like Abigail, who was righteous and prevented David from sin, see 1 Samuel chapter 25, he is forbidden to have many. In this case, Rabbi Shimon does not interpret the rationale of the verse, while Rabbi Yehuda does interpret its rationale. The Gemara answers, actually, really, Lo'ilam, Rabbi Yehuda does not generally interpret the rationale of the verse, and it is different here with regard to a king, as the verse itself specifies the reason. He should not multiply wives for himself, that his heart not turn away. What is the reason that he may not multiply wives for himself? Is because he must ensure that his heart will not turn away. Rabbi Shimon maintains. Rabbi Shimon maintains. And Rabbi Shimon maintains. Since we generally interpret the rationale of the verse, in the verse, there is no need for the verse itself to supply the rationale for the prohibition. Let the merciful one state he may not multiply. And we don't need in Torah to add that his heart not turn away. And I would already know the answer to the question. What is the reason that he may not accumulate many wives? It is because of the concern that his heart not turn away. If so, why do I need the phrase, his heart not turn away? That the merciful one writes, it must certainly be necessary in order to increase the scope of the prohibition, even if there is one woman who turns his heart away, he may not marry her. Therefore, the verse concludes to halachot, the general stricture against kings marrying too many women, and a former halakha that a king may not marry even one woman who will lead him astray. Mishnah. Masnisin, the Mishnah says, one who takes a millstone as collateral violates a prohibition, as he is liable for taking two vessels. In other words, both millstones in a pair. As it is stated, he shall not take the lower or upper millstone as collateral. Deuteronomy 24:6. The Tana adds, not only did the sages say that it is prohibited to take the lower or upper millstone as collateral, but they also said that one may not take anything that people use in the preparation of food, as it is stated, for he takes a man's life as collateral. Deuteronomy 24:6. Gemara. The Gemara says, that was a Mishnah. Now the Gemara says, Rav Huna says, one who took a lower millstone as collateral is flogged with 2 sets of lashes. One is due to violating the prohibition of taking the lower millstone as collateral, and the second is due to, for he takes a man's life as collateral. Since he took an item used in the preparation of food, if he took the lower and upper millstone, he is flogged with 3 sets of lashes. 2 sets are due to violating the prohibitions of taking a lower millstone and an upper millstone as collateral, and the third is due to violating the prohibition, for he takes a man's life as collateral. Rav Yehuda says, if he took a lower millstone as collateral, he is flogged with 1 set of lashes. If he took an upper millstone, he is flogged with 1 set of lashes. And if he took both the lower and the upper millstones together as collateral, he is flogged with 2 sets of lashes. With regard to the verse, for he takes a man's life as collateral, that's 115a.